Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of Game of Thrones. And this was the ninth episode, the penultimate episode of the season. And usually on Game of Thrones, the ninth episode always has some kind of shock and awe moments. And in the past, that has been the Red Wedding, or it's been the death of Ned Stark, and in this one, it was all about the Watchers on the Wall. We've been building up to this moment for so long. We've been waiting to see what would happen if the wildlings finally made it to the wall, and if they were able to breach the wall, and what would happen, and whether Mance's men would actually be able to get through and penetrate the wall and be able to take it over. And, all season we've been watching Jon warn these people, all the council of the Night's Watch, that this army was coming, that the wildlings are coming. They've got like 100,000 people. We are totally outnumbered. And finally, in this episode, what's his name? Alistair had to say to Jon Snow, you were right, and we should have done, closed off that tunnel like you suggested, but it is what it is, and now we're just gonna have to fight to the death pretty much. And I like that moment because it was one of those things where he said, what happens when you're first in command? You're always being second guessed by other people, and that's pretty much what it takes to be a leader. You have to sometimes make tough decisions, and they might not be the right one, but it's the ones that you have to stick with. So in this episode, it was basically some awesome fight scenes going on all over the place. Of course, we had Ygritte, who was eager to find Jon Snow and kill him, so she claimed. And, she has been basically hunting him for quite a while now. We know that she stabbed him with 3 arrows when he decided that he was going to break away from the wildling bunch there and head back to the Night's Watch. And she wasn't too pleased with that because obviously they had sex with one another. And once that happens, you're basically that person, you own that person pretty much. And she was sticking true to that. And so when he decided to leave, she was definitely a woman scorned. I hate to say it, but she was. But she's also a badass. And that's one of the things I liked about her character, was that she apologized to nobody for how strong of a person she was and a fighter. And she was even willing to go up against these cannibals when she was trying to say that Jon Snow was hers, and if anybody tried to take him but her, they were going to get an arrow through the chest or the eye or the heart or whatever. And I'm pretty sure she meant it. So to see the episode, come to a head with her pointing the bow and arrow at Jon and hesitating, and even Jon had this smile on his face, like, one, I think he was happy to see her, but I don't know if he thought she was actually gonna, try to kill him again, but we'll never know, because Ollie, the young kid whose village was taken over by the wildlings and ended up going to the wall to warn them about these the wildlings coming, ends up shooting her in the heart, and she dies in Jon's arms. And it's a really kind of sad death, because as much bravado as she had, as much of a tough shell she was, you could tell that she did love Jon, and he loved her too. So I thought it was very cute at the top of the episode when Samwell and Jon are talking about basically his first time and what it was like. And Sam's like, I might die today, like, can you please give me some information as to what it's like to actually love somebody who actually loves you back. And so then when Sam has the moment to kiss Gilly, he takes it, because she's a little annoying, but there was a moment where she was like, you promised that you weren't going to leave my side again. And he's like, well, I didn't say that we were going to be in the same room with each other at all times. So when he takes that moment to kiss her, it was kind of sweet, because he really cares about her, and he will do anything to protect her. And I think that she really cares about him as well. So that was, I thought, a very sweet and touching scene. There were some really great moments in this episode, and one that really stood out for me was when the 6 men went downstairs to basically guard the door, to guard the gate, and not let the giant get through. And when they start reciting their vows, I thought that was a great moment because they see this beast that they're up against. One of them wants to run away. The other one is basically trying to slap the sense out of him and into him and say, listen, these are the words that we spoke when we took this vow to protect the wall and be on the Night's Watch. And it's basically you give up everything to protect this place. And so when they all start reciting it, I thought it was like a great moment. So, of course, it's horrible at the end when Jon Snow and Sam are walking through the tunnel and they see the giant on the ground, but then they also see the guy, can't remember his name, but who was leading the men down there, and to see that, he died for the cause. Like he guarded the wall, guarded the gate, and he didn't let them get through, and I thought that was a really, really great moment, just the way that they were reciting all the words and they all were chanting it at the same time. Meanwhile, this giant is like charging down this hallway at them, and you're just kind of like, oh my God, this man is huge. How are they ever going to get through this man? And so to see that they actually did stop him but died also doing it was just another touching moment in that battle scene. So yeah, there were some really great moments in there. I like that Alistair was fighting, like he was trying to do his best to protect the wall. And yes, he died at the hands of the wildlings, but he didn't cower away in some room like the other guy did, who tucked away with Gilly and her baby. He fought, and he fought to the death, and I liked that. And I loved, can I just say, I heart Jon Snow. He is an amazing leader. He knew when to take charge. He knew when to basically surrender himself and almost sacrifice himself for the greater cause. He is a true leader, and I just love how they have developed Jon Snow's character. Again, I thought it was touching that Ygritte was in his arms when she died, and they were able to have that sort of touching goodbye moment with each other. But just the relationship that he has with Sam, the relationship that he's had with these men. He's a bastard child to Ned Stark, but yet he has so much heart, and that's one of the things that I love about his character, that he's willing to go toe-to-toe. He's willing to go now out there to find this Mance and try to kill him, because like he said, if he can kill this man and basically put this, all these hundreds of thousands of people won't have a cause to fight for anymore, and they'll just start fighting amongst themselves, and he's willing to sacrifice his life for it. And that, to me, ultimately makes a great king, a great leader, and he is not somebody who just talks a good game. He walks, and he's a great character on the show. So please don't take him away from me too. But yeah, some really great battle scenes in this moment. And I thought there was also some good, like, not humor, but funny moments in this scene, especially with Samwell and, I think you say his name, Piper, who was terrified of the fight that was about to happen. And, he finally gets to kill somebody and he's enjoying the moment. And even Sam's like, well, is it over? And he's like, no. He's like, all right, then let's get back to work. And then just as he stands up to go and try to kill more people, Ygritte basically gets a good shot through his neck and he dies in the arms of Sam. But Sam was like giving off some really good funny one-liners in this episode, which I thought was cute and just kind of lightened the mood on a heavy episode, because we knew it was going to be some crazy stuff going down, and just seeing everything, them trying to penetrate the wall, seeing them, shooting the arrows with the fire and all that stuff, like that was really great to watch. Some of these beasts, like they're giants, like it's crazy. And the fact that they were willing to stand up and like John said, like they're just gonna come back the next night and we're probably not gonna be able to outwit them and outplay them, but we've got to come up with another tactic. So when he decides he's gonna go leave to try to find Mance and put an end to this, who knows what's gonna happen, but he's willing to make that sacrifice anyway. So I like that. So I thought that this episode had a lot of good conversations happening. There was a lot of fight in everybody. And I love when they said that, what was that thing they had? Oh, I love when they released the wolf. That was also cool. Because, everybody could use a wolf on their side. And then I loved when John left that guy in charge on the top, and then he's basically like, all right, you know, what this is like, if this is going to be the night to die, then we might as well go out in a blaze of glory. And he was just commanding on cue. He was not afraid. He did not cower away. He was awesome. So I love that moment at the end when, you know, they're still trying to climb the wall, and they say, drop the side, boys, or whatever. And all of a sudden you just see this like crazy, it looks like an anchor comes shooting out of the ice wall, and it just like sweeps down the side, and it just takes out everybody in their wake. So I was like, nice, that was awesome. And that was a nice little final moment in this battle scene, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty good penultimate episode. I thought just focusing on the wall and the wildlings in this was great. There were a lot of tense moments because you just really didn't know who they were going to kill in this episode. So, you know, they killed off a couple people that have been annoying throughout the episode, but they also killed off Ygritte, who's been, you know, a good, strong female presence on the show, so she'll be missed. So, yeah, I really did enjoy this episode, and it'll be interesting to see what happens on next week's finale. So, we got no follow-up to the horrific episode that we had last week. Oh my God. I'm telling you, it probably took me through half the week to get over that gruesome death of Oberyn. I mean, good God. So, you know, I'm hoping that there's a little loophole, because I really do think that the Mountain also died in that battle scene, but obviously Oberyn died first. So I don't know. I just know that I'm not trying to say goodbye to Tyrion anytime soon. And if the Lannisters don't get some kind of death and slaughter to them sometime soon, I'm just gonna be mad. But yeah, last week's episode was crazy, and I thought that this was a pretty good follow-up to it. I don't think you can top crushing a man's face and just leaving him laying there in a pool of blood. I don't think you can top that, but this came pretty close. So let me know what you guys thought of this week's episode. Did you enjoy the battle scene? Do you think that the special effects were good? I enjoyed them. I thought everything looked really good. I loved all the fight scenes. I love when Jon basically was like, lift the gate, and he just went at it. He was just going crazy. He's, you know, attacking that cannibal dude and stabbing him in the top of the head. I'm glad that somebody else didn't kill him for him. I'm glad Jon was able to give that nice kill. So yeah, it was good. There was a lot of good stuff happening in this episode. They allowed a lot of characters to be front and center in this episode, which is one of the things that I liked. So yeah, that's my review of this week's episode. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you next week for the finale. Actually, I will not be able to review next week's episode live because I'm going to be out of town. So sadly, I'm going to have to give my review a week later. I know that's not going to really have an effect that's just, it's not great. You know, nobody wants to do a review a week later because everyone's pretty much over it. But that's sadly how I'm going to have to end my review of Game of Thrones, because I will not be in the country next week and I will not be watching the show. All right? I will see you 2 weeks from now. Have a good one. Bye.